What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ross the Boss Show. Today, Target hires a gay trans Satanist to design clothes for your kids. Everybody boycotts them, and somehow they're shocked. Is Christianity really helpful to society throughout history? Are you really a liberal or a conservative? Are you sick of climate activists ruining random events and cringing everybody out? Have you ever considered running a camera crane into them? If so, call me, Joel the Hammer Stanley. Stick around! People naturally think that human beings aren't inherently valuable. You don't come with that thought. Thing. Right. It's very animalistic in a lot of the rest of the world. In fact, in India, there's these stories of like what happens if like they have a daughter and she's a young baby and they're like, they already have 8 kids or whatever. Like a lot of times they'll just let the babies die. And the reason they'll let them die is because they're going to have to pay somebody a dowry to marry their daughter. Number one, right? Their daughter's going to have to be cared for more than a boy would. Number 2, right? So it's financial strain on their family. So they're literally thinking.
Oh, so they're like literally getting rid of the girl. I thought that was a Chinese thing.
It's Chinese as well. But the reason this is everywhere else is because Christianity is the thing that dignifies human life. Jesus, God, right, became a human.
Right.
In every other religion, God is not a human. Right. So it can't exist that. Yeah, it's a deity of some sort that's other than, it's separate than, right? Christianity is the first one that dignified humans forever, which is why when you look at the different places, like the wheelbarrow by itself was not even invented by like Western people, but it was most widespreadly used all of a sudden by the monks and by people of the Christian faith a long time ago. Although it was invented somewhere else, they never used it. Why? Well, they had 2 slaves. Just put one on the front of a thing and one on the back of a thing and they carry it. So they literally did that for forever. So the Christian monks were the ones that were believing the idea that toil is wrong. And by toil is
making
like
somebody, I know what you mean.
A repetitive thing that's like the same thing as if you weren't allowed to have a cup of water. So you had to walk down to the pond and lap it into your hands. Well, technology would exist to make your life easier because why? Humans deserve better than to be having to do dumb shit than that. Well, who decided that? God, Jesus. Christianity is the one that says that.
Like Christianity is mostly responsible. If you think about it, even if it's loosely followed, the Christianity, the Western world that followed Christianity.
The concepts of a deity loving you and giving you worth. So all of this information I'm talking about right now comes from a book I've been reading called The Book That Made Your World. Right. It was Charlie Kirk recommended reading it a long time ago. And it basically explains
I'll write that down. There's like 2 books you suggested that I need to read now.
Yeah. Well, I'm still reading this one. I'm only halfway through the freaking thing and half of it's on audiobook. And then I got to go read the real thing so I can understand it. Because when I highlight stuff, I don't forget it. You know what I'm saying? If I highlight it, I'm like, I know where that was at in the page and it says this.
I like the feeling of reading a book.
Well, I just feel stupid if I audiobook it. I feel stupid. I feel like I only got 10%. Yeah. I won't retain it. I probably did. No, I definitely didn't retain it. Like I'll listen to it and I'll be like, no, I remember 7%. Like I listened to Alex Hermosi's entire $100 million offers book or whatever. Cause it was basically how do you end up like making such good offers to people? And the book is like, I think it's at least multiple hours and maybe I remember 1% of it, 2% of it, 2 big things.
Yeah.
But either way, this stuff is different. So the reason I'm talking about this book is because it's been so it basically proves that was one component, right? Another component was that Christians should have dominion over the earth. Well, in other cultures and other religions, they're like a goat is a person, is a cow. You know, that's why you can't kill cows in India a lot, right? Like there's certain things that are holy. You know, a person's no better. You're just a normal form of life, right? So you don't get to like sit on top of a horse. You don't get to like demand labor out of an elephant. So Christians came out
story for that,
and they're the ones that mainly pushed the harness for oxen and horses to be yoked together so that they could do something. In other countries, for hundreds of years, they still had people harnesses, slave harnesses, because I'll put 12 humans in a row and put a thing on them and pull. And here they are. The Christians are making these things for donkeys and for horses and stuff. Why? Because they dignified human life. That was why. So anyway, that's just really so that's why I'm not a liberal. At the end of the day, I'm not a liberal because I think if you leave people to their own devices without Christian thought, there is no value, and eventually it ends up in Crazyville with tons of torturing and things like that. Now, here's what I'm not saying for all the lefties that are listening. Well, you're undermining all the suffering that happens inside of Christian ideas. Stop. I'm not saying that Christians are blameless when because they're a Christian, you don't I'm talking about the principles that need to be worked out. Christians and people who are not Christians, however close they can work out those things, the better for society. Okay. That's the point. And the thing is that in the Christian faith, if you're acting outside of it, I don't care if you're a priest or if you're anything else, you're still evil. And we still call you evil if you're a priest who's touched kids, right? The left isn't really doing that anymore. I feel like at all these drag shows with kids, what I see happen is that people will go, look at this and look at this. This is obviously sexualizing children. And the response from the other side is, well, what do you say about the Catholic churches that are doing da-da-da? Wait a minute. We still call that evil. Do you still call this evil? Well, I don't know. Okay, that's the problem. The problem is you won't call it evil.
Like, first of all, I just realized that is where the term equally yoked comes from, over the oxen. So
right.
Yeah, epiphany right there. But it's funny that you talk about that. I saw this special about the animals being above humans in some of the cultures and how that's like it basically treating people beneath. There's some sort of Asian country that it's a small area or something, and they work and toil all of their lives to make all this money, not to spend for their life or to make their family better, or anyone better, or their children better, or anything, for their funerals. So that their funerals are these big,
grandiose,
and think about the market around it, the people who capitalize on it. But we're talking like $30,000 US, and that is a lot in their country. Now, that's all they do. They will sit there and toil. And the oxen, they have like the specially bred oxen that is supposed to be like, to something about going to the other side or something like that. But it's funny, but it's a third world. It is dirt houses, dirt floors type of thing. And they haven't really gone beyond that. And now it's kind of like, I kind of was like, oh yeah, that's true. All the westernized places are places that have taken in Christianity, or at least the general idea, not every single person, because you're right. Liberals sit there and have to, since this one Christian did something bad, all of you are bad. That's kind of how they make it. Like, Of course there are going to be bad people because they're human. That's just it. They're full of sin, But I mean, I don't know.
I think maybe a better way to say it from now on would be like people who practice Christian ideas are good people, because then the leftists can't be like, since we have to play word games all the time, instead of being like Christians are the best, be like people who practice Christianity seem to treat people the best.
Right. Statistically.
Right. And so there's a bunch of other areas where Christian thought and biblical ideology has come into play. One of those is in culture and heroism. Like, what is a hero? What qualifies in a culture as a hero? In other countries, for a long time, you could do all kinds of immoral shit, but if you became like the leader, then everything that you did to get there was justified. That was like a normal thing. Like a conqueror could be a person who slit the throat of 1,000. Like Attila. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, you would get praise for just being great at something. Alexander the Great, you know what I'm saying? But it was brutal in the way that he exercised everything. But like, either way, you look at these different people, and then what happened was chivalry came into play. Chivalry was like something that had to do with like the medieval times, when like the Catholic Church couldn't square the idea sort of going, like, you would used to get praise in the old timey for like your battle things that you did. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You did a conquest and killed these like 100 troops against you, and everybody sung of your deeds and whatever the hell. So you would get like these admonishments, right? And then they started marrying this idea of like doing heroic shit for the church, right? Which was like a weird perversion of it, which is where the Crusaders got all their praise. They would go on pilgrimages and they would go like do great feats. So they would get like loved in the eyes of like the church and of the Church of England or whatever kind of a thing.
Weaponized, essentially.
Yeah. And it was weaponized by evil men not doing Christian shit, right?
See?
Right.
Yeah.
Even in the name of Christianity. Right.
Right.
Well, so anyway, fast forward and the church finally started to have to be like, okay, we can't really say that like killing people's good anymore unless it's in self-defense.
Right.
Because then it still was, right? But so like since that's the case, because then since the wars ended, they were like, well, we have to fight each other, which is why they had so many games where they were doing the stupid like jousting and stuff like that, where they would put the spear, and they were like, well, if we can't have admonishments, for being great in the chivalry way that we used to, we have to start games so we can get recognition. And then they were like, well, never mind. Let's not do the games for recognition because it's not wrong to hurt each other anymore like this. And so it kind of changed because of Christian influence over a 500-year period, saying we can't glorify savagery like this. And so it slowly became to the point where it was the noble thing for you to do as a person to take off your helmet and put it to the side and say, I'm done with the ways of like actual violence, right? This is all Christian ideas, right? All of it, right?
But again, some things have been,
perverted. But as Christianity, which is what the entire Reformation Protestant thing was about, it was basically pointing at the leaders of the church and going, they're not even obeying the scriptures. Right. Let us show you what the scriptures say. And the church would say, you're not allowed to let the scriptures out in a different language, My gosh, and so this was the whole battle.
Wasn't that the original? Wait a minute. Wasn't that the original reason for October 31st?
Yeah, Reformation Day.
And then like, of course, like the Satanists have kind of like
perverted it and made it way worse. Yeah.
Like a Halloween thing.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's Reformation Day.
To make them
the whole
them,
point
like,
of it is
Satan.
that basically
the
whole point of the Reformation was basically that the people at the top of the church were doing stuff that was not healthy Christianity.
The guy wrote that letter.
Yeah, the 95 Thesis.
There you go.
Yeah, and he nailed it to the Martin Luther, and he nailed it to the church doors, saying this is the things you need to change. And one of the things was they were selling indulgences. Essentially, they were basically selling the rights to heaven. Like, hey, we'll forgive you of all of your, terrible, abysmal relationship, drama.
Give the church money and stuff.
And you pay us money, and your sins are forgiven. Kind of like what
Nancy Pelosi did when they wouldn't give her the ash or whatever. I forgot what it was, or communion. Excuse me. She freaking flew out to the Vatican to get it there. They wouldn't do it in wherever, San Francisco, Los Angeles, I can't remember. San Fran. And he wouldn't do it. And she flew out to the Vatican.
Crazy.
She was able to buy it. She was able to buy her, communion.
Yeah.
Basically like that. So now I get it that a lot of like people in the Christian world talk like crap about the Vatican and what it's become and been perverted because
of everything I just said. Right.
Made me realize.
And they did eventually like cave after a while to the idea that everybody should have the right to read the Bible and everybody should have the right to like see the truth for themselves.
Yes.
But like, so the reason I was bringing up heroes about this whole entire thing is because the reason that me and you, if you were to describe what a hero would be in your eyes, like what a regular American would think a hero is, right? The reason that we got mad at Bush, if there wasn't weapons of mass destruction over there, and if we weren't going there just to liberate people that were oppressed. The idea in our minds right now, if somebody's going to go do something for somebody else and they want to be considered a hero, well, then you better be liberating oppressed people or something, but you sure as shit better not be going to steal.
He said bringing democracy to Iraq. When we went into Iraq, it was
right. It's liberating them,
yes,
right?
We were helping the people.
And the reason that we want that as an expectation is solely because of biblical values.
Christian values.
Why the hell
and he lied.
Would you expect, listen, random atheist, why would you expect somebody to go liberate people? Where do you think that leaders have to do that? You see, these people think that they hate Christianity, but they literally espouse it with their social justice warring things, where they're attempting to say that everybody should be free from oppression of any kind. Like they have a smidge of what? Christian doctrine saying these things. Right. The only reason they think this is because they haven't been open to the rest of the world, who would just butcher them and throw them off rooftops for having a different lifestyle. You know what I mean? And so like anyway, even their ideas themselves are embedded inside of some Christian ideas that let them think that there should be a utopia of some sort somewhere at some point where nobody has to toil hard. Like what? Do you know the rest of the world will just throw some shackles on you and have you hauling rock for the next 30 years because of your lifestyle choices right now? Right. You know, even they cling to Christian values and they don't know it.
Which definitely that makes sense now that we're looking at society and how much it's just moved away from the Bible. That's the best way I can say it. Like just moving away from just the word, the gospel, whatever, how it's just becoming more and more perverse, like stuff that we've talked about before, the a gender ideology for young children in schools and people just accepting that. Like, wait, why are we accepting that? Like, there's no boundaries. It's boundaryless. But there are people who don't necessarily celebrate Christianity that are kind of saying, well, wait, that I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong too. Like that, I'm an atheist, but I think that's wrong or whatever. And it's like, well, because you have a little bit of that, like you said.
Right. You have some Christian values that are embedded into you that you can't really get away from. And that's this is the thing. They're going after that. All of these cool pushes in schools and stuff like that is to chop at the root of that thing that we're talking about. What is that root? Right, wrong, objective truth. Right. And the idea of anything is malleable, anything is interchangeable, anything is different. There's no concrete stuff. Even Matt Walsh's entire documentary, What is a Woman? Mm-hmm. What was interesting is that the conclusion that they came to at the end was that this is an all-out attack on the ability to find and know objective truth. Mm-hmm. That was what he said when he sat down with these professors.
I didn't watch the whole thing. So.
Yeah, so when he sat down with these professors, he would eventually get to the point where, because he was just calmly asking questions to them.
Oh, they were so good at like,
and they were so good at just fleeing, being cornered about trying to figure out the truth.
Yeah.
You know, he would be like, great. So I think anybody can identify as a woman. He'd be like, oh, okay, great. What's that thing?
Whatever it means.
Well, the last word that you said in that sentence. Anybody can identify as a what? Okay, what is that? Can you explain it? And they're just like, I don't understand why you're pushing so much.
Why is it your business? Yeah. And they kept saying to Matt Walsh in that thing, they kept giving him a hard time. Why do you care so much? Blah, blah, blah. And it does kind of make sense. If you are a man wanting to turn into a woman, well, then what is it? What do you have to do to be that? That makes sense to me, because you want to go into the women's bathroom. You want to go to women's things. Well, then you have to have a little bit of a delineation there, don't you?
And it's so interesting how they've come into power, like these woke ideas and stuff like that, how it's been by force, but before it was force, it was compassion. Weaponized compassion, right? It was
That's
weaponized.
How all of us were. Oh my gosh.
Right. It was weaponized Christian basic fundamentals of everybody should have a chance to be at the table. Everybody should have a chance to speak because God lets everybody exist and he withholds judgment until the end. It's a Christian idea to allow people the rights to do things that they want. So that's why I'm like, I am a liberal in that. Right. I think that God will allow you to do what you want, but I'm a conservative in that if I let everybody do what they want, my kids are going to be raped and tortured eventually.
Right. It's funny. I was just thinking in my head while I made that face.
By the civilization. Sorry to clarify. By the civilization that they grow up in that is not controlled.
When I made that face, I was thinking of just some of the crazy stuff that I said, not just basically making fun of Christians who were really against, like, because let's say, call it what it is. Okay. It was a slippery slope when they did turn this gay marriage thing into marriage. Maybe we could use a different word, at least by what I think is that it shouldn't be called marriage, maybe something else. But it was a slippery slope. And I remember making
sorts, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
Whatever.
Partner, right. It's some sort of partnership with the legal documentation and all the perks that they get. But anyway, I remember making fun of the evangelicist Christians who said that, who screamed that from the mountaintops in the 90s. Do you remember? Because I remember, and making fun of them and saying like, oh, exactly that. Why can't you just let them be? We want to, right. You see what I mean?
So the Christian root in you that was to be compassionate and tolerant and kind.
And I was saying shit about the Christians. I was saying bad stuff about the Christians, being like, and calling them intolerant and calling them the bad guys in this situation in my head.
Right.
And now looking back, I just
so what happens is when you take little Christian ideas and then put them somewhere else without the Christian culture around it, it's like chopping off the flower and walking away. You're like, look, this is a Christian thing. We should all be tolerant. And then it dies because it's not connected to everything else in the Christian idea.
That's a good point.
You know, which is number one, like there is incredibly intense warnings about misleading children in the Bible. Like Jesus talks about, like, if you mislead like children, you should have a millstone tied around your neck and thrown into the bottom of a lake type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's like a lot of animosity, healthy animosity, and a little bit of vengeance and anger and rage against people that are willing to harm children.
Yeah.
And so for the longest time in society, we've had an idea that we should blanket protect them from certain things for a long time.
That's why you have age restrictions.
For age restrictions, for alcohol, for cigarettes, for guns, for voting, for big life decisions that you need to make, like getting married and stuff like that.
Taking out a loan.
Yeah, like there's a lot of these things. And the reason for that is because we know that because they are immature up until a certain age, they probably aren't really trustworthy with those kinds of decisions. And by trustworthy, we mean might do more harm to themselves than they could future tensely get out of, right? That's why we don't let children do certain things. So we say, we're going to let you make really bad or really good decisions about the time that you hit 18. We're going to start giving you some decisions when you hit 15 and a half to kind of prep you to be ready to be 18 so that you can make sure that you're not making dumb decisions. And some stuff we're making you wait till you're 21 because they're life and death type stuff.
And it's because our innate want to protect children because of that connection too. But it being the strongest one, which is what is being attacked now, I think that's why you're seeing like pushback. Well,
so here's what this means though. With this transition from we expect you have to must be this tall to ride the ride.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's a safety precaution involved, right? Must be this tall. We're taking this down now and going, you can be 8 and you will know what should be done about your genitals and how you want to procreate with other people, which means what? You're able to have sexual conversations, which means what? You can consent to something. What else can you consent to? Fast forward 2 years, right?
I agree.
What else are they going to be having children consent to because they're going to be able to manipulate them?
I think they already have
This is so freaking dangerous.
No, you're right.
On every level. And like, they're not going to let them do the other things. They just want them to sexually be able to be what they want, quote unquote.
There is in California, they're already doing that. And it's already happened in some sense. One law, see, they just do it little bits by little bits.
Yeah, they do it by little bits, man. You're talking about the 10-year one?
The 10-year law that it was being fought. I remember seeing, the Instagram people that we, follow. It was just the California ones were like, hey, they're going to vote on this bill. Spread the word. We need to not let this happen. And it was to let the 10-year age gap not like take the charges down of statutory.
Right. If you're 27 and they're 17, if you're 25 and they're 15, if you're 23 and they're 13.
Right.
If you're 21 and they're 11
and 13.
If you're 18 and 8.
There might be an age cutoff for that, but even then, all they're doing.
But this is still a step.
This is just a step.
It's still a step,
they're eventually going to get rid of that. But the fact that they were able to take such a big step there, that happened like that. I didn't think it was going to get passed. I thought it was going to have to get redone a couple times.
Yeah, I just wonder how much further they're going to take this. I wonder how much further like they're going to go with it. Like in 10 years, what will the chance be at that point? Like, because think about it. They are allowing people, I don't know how they're doing this yet, but there is people that are operating inside of society right now that are 55, men, overweight, and they're claiming to be 4-year-old girls.
Yes.
You've seen this, right?
Yeah.
With the diapers and all.
Yes. And wearing little girls' dresses.
Yes.
At first it was overseas. I saw.
So that person has come to the US apparently, or whatever, or this is happening all over.
I think there's more.
Yeah, there's got to be more people. And so if you like, let me just be the left for a second and tell me this isn't compelling.
Okay.
Guys, it's time. It is time that we start treating the people that are the lowest among us and that have gone through the worst trauma in their life as though they're allowed to participate in society. And I'm sick of seeing an environment where people are judging people based off of their sexual preferences. Do you remember at first when you weren't accepted? And then and then fast forward 4 more sentences.
Right.
And I'm saying something like, they are children. They're not minor attracted person. He is a child in his heart and it's his brain. They've done studies. that he's actually a child. Yeah. So all he did in this scenario was act out what any child would act out with another child. So what? She died from the trauma that he didn't mean to do that. There was a lot of vaginal trauma because she was only 3 and he was 55, but still, you get it?
Yep.
Like this is not that far.
No, I agree.
From being a thing.
And that we would seriously have to consider that. We would seriously have to consider that. Like that there are people that are going to seriously
and they'll show up and try to shut down your rally.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll have a rally around this event. Mark my words, 10 years from now, if this keeps going at the rate that it's going, maybe 5 years, maybe 3. Well, they'll have an event saying a 55-year-old hurt a kid, and they will have Antifa will show up to protest our protest. Yeah. And the cops won't arrest them and they'll arrest us. Like at the rate that things are going, that's how this is going to freaking play out.
Here's a Canadian one. I've gone back to being a child, husband and father of 7, 52, leaves his wife and kids to live as a transgender 6-year-old girl named Stephanie, Knee at the end of that. Very clever. Stephanie Bowe, 52, used to be Paul and decided she was trans at age 46.
Fucking Paul. Of course his name was fucking Paul, and he wanted to put a fucking K in his Stephanie. He needed everything from this moment. He needed it all fixed. His wife was a bitch. His mom was a bitch. And so now he's going, fine, motherfuckers. You're going to make the world my way.
Look at how they framed it too. Was not accepted by her family. After 2 suicide attempts and bouts of homelessness, she found hope in the transgender community in Toronto. Now resides with an adoptive mommy and daddy and spends her time playing with dolls and the couple's young grandchildren. What? And the fact that there's a heterosexual male and a female that has grandchildren that is housing this person because of their compassion for him, but actually believes after suicide attempts and homelessness, now he's living with a set of grandparents who let their grandchildren play with him. How many times have they played alone with him?
Dude, people are crazy.
So it's happening.
It's happening.
And look how they put all this stuff.
Happening.
Wasn't accepted by her family. 2 suicide attempts. So you're right. They're turning it around on the people who'd be like, hey, let's slow down here because I don't think what you're suggesting is like true or right. Those are the people who are demonized. They weren't very accepting. They were so mean. They were very
judgmental way before understanding their perspective.
Right.
And it's like, well, their perspective was a tornado of chaos that butchered 55 puppies the week before in a bag and some water. They were shoving them under. And there was some awkward stuff that went on with the PCA. You know, like nobody's looking into these people's lives and being like, their opinion is punching. Like, look at the dude, Jordan Neely. His position of mind, his perspective, if you walk a mile in his shoes, well, he was just a Michael Jackson impersonator trying to make it. No, he was punching random strangers frequently and had been arrested 42 times. Okay, how about them apples?
Nobody asked him if he was okay. It's like, oh, should I just ask between like socks to the face? Are you okay? Like, you know, like that's what they want. They want us to take the abuse and get down on every level in society to take some sort of abuse or rights taken away to be compassionate, because that's what they keep selling it as, being compassionate to people who are, let's just put it this way, misbehaving in society. I'll just put it that way as a blanket term. Same thing, I'm still can't get over about the 52-year-old that is now living with an old couple who lets the grandchildren play with him as he's dressed up like a 6-year-old girl. I don't know. I can't even picture it in my head. And that's the thing too, is they censor that kind of content on like YouTube, and they're very careful with the way they say things on the news. And we can't show you these pictures when really bad stuff happens from these situations because it's too graphic. I think at this point, people need to see it.
People need to see everything.
Yes.
People need to see everything. And that's the thing. That's the reason that Elon being the way that he is with Twitter is so helpful, because you're not allowed to totally lie about stuff anymore without people being like, this is a lie, here's the proof of it, and everybody present their best argument. I think Twitter's going to take off, man. I think it's about to blow up.
I hope so. I really hope so. Sorry, I can't fit in this chair. I really hope so, especially just for the sake of like, free speech, because then these ideas can, because letting the left stay on there too. They're allowed to. They're just leaving voluntarily to try to stick it to Elon. But they're allowed to still say some of the crazy stuff that they say. Cool. Now the right is actually able to say their stuff and the ideas can compete, you know? And I think common sense and the things that do make sense will rise. But the left just wants to censor it. Yeah, it's so interesting
because they're trying to fight against him. All these companies have left Twitter.
Well, they left their advertising. Yeah, they're saying we don't want to advertise with you anymore.
Well, some have even left Twitter altogether. I was looking for one and I was trying to find their actual Twitter and they posted their last tweet. They're like, we don't use this platform anymore as of this day because of da-da-da-da. I'm like, oh my God, dude, you guys are so ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, none of this stuff would stand if the World Bank and all these jokers weren't holding these stupid woke rules up, you know, in
the ESG
in the background,
rules.
Making them do this, you know?
Yeah.
It's like none of these people would be okay with this. And it's just like, you're going to allow an entire generation, a civilization of the earth to be thrown into shackles for the next 500 years if you're not careful. You know what I mean?
Over ideology.
Yeah. Like you're going to be, if you keep complying, these woke corporations, if they keep complying at the rate that they are, you will allow the entire world to be shackled.
I mean, is that what they want though?
Yes.
At this point, that's what I think.
Well, that's what they think is coming. So they're just trying to get a piece of the pie. So they're like, I'll do whatever you tell me to do, as long as you let me be part of the distribution team when you restructure all the world. Because that's what they're going to do. Look at Amazon. Look at Disney. Look at you can be the children's animation wing of everybody in the planet. We'll all have one now. English.
It's failing. Did you see how horribly the new Little Mermaid is doing? The new live action Little Mermaid is really not doing well. They were hoping it would eventually hit 1 billion in the box office. Now, when you project those numbers, a lot of times they can tell if a movie is going to hit a certain projections by the way it performs in the first week. They compare it to US sales on its own and then to the rest of the world on that own. And that's how they can tell. All these critics were trying to say it was breaking barriers and glass ceilings and it's going to be amazing. And all the woke stuff that they did in it, they changed the story, things like woke stuff, ESG stuff, basically. And it is performing horribly, absolutely horribly. And that's behind how many other projects that have failed because they've made it woke. Look at the She-Hulk thing that they made. It
was a trash.
It was because they had to check those ESG boxes and say the right things, you know, that the magazines are telling us to say, all this woke nonsense, failure after failure after failure. And it's starting to show in the numbers. Did you know that they're closing the brand new park that they just built based on Star Wars, the Galactic Hotel thingy? I mean, it was I think a $2 billion project. I can't remember.
It was a one-hit wonder because nobody's going now.
So a whole freaking park is shutting down because nobody wants it, because they ruined the Star Wars brand. In the beginning, when they were starting to do little woke things, that lukewarm Christians and everyone just kept letting it slide. Oh, well, I still love my Disney, so we're still going to go on vacation. It's like, yeah, but, you know, they're starting to put that stuff. You shouldn't support it with your money. Oh, I can't live without my Disney.
Right.
So these companies had like this false, like this facade that they couldn't fail, that it was impossible to fail.
Right.
And they are starting to lose significant amount of money to where they're having to make these decisions because they're essentially failing. You should be growing always. And they're not. They're tanking. So I think we're starting to see it finally. But at first, I think they didn't think they could fail. They thought maybe there were too many of those lukewarm people that we were talking about before that would just let things slide, keep letting things slide. But crossing that line.
You know what would solve all this?
What?
Making actors actually act.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Like, you're not going to get a female Hulk if she has to actually like bench press 170 pounds or something, you know?
Oh, yeah. Remember when that used to be a thing that people would get in shape for movies?
Do your own stunts, you know? Like
Tom
Jackie
Cruise.
Chan, Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah, you name it, man. I mean, these people have been...
like Christian Bale. Lost all that weight for The Machinist, but then bulked it back up for Batman Begins. Or
Keanu Reeves with the freaking, his whole thing. I mean, he actually knows how to do it, you know? And like, then you couldn't bullshit about like, I don't know if Indiana Jones is a girl, but I'm sure it will be soon.
Oh, no, it already happened.
Yeah, but I mean, even the Ridley Anna Jones or whatever the hell they're calling it on Netflix, or my kids can't even watch that because they try to push the they them stuff. I literally all I do now is I look at what date something was created.
Really?
My wife will ask me 2018-ish.
Yeah.
Something like that is about when I'm like, let me see. You know, but like 2016, you're normally fine. 2015, you're pretty much fine, you know.
And below.
Like in below. But it's crazy. Like you could literally screen it out. Like if it was just like,
I believe it.
This is like such BS. And it's so frustrating because like it's getting to the point where the kids can't watch anything unless it's old stuff. You know what my kids are watching right now?
What?
Rugrats.
Watching
Rugrats.
The other day. That's right.
Yeah, Rugrats on Nickelodeon, dude.
There's so much content out there that I think I think that people who want to take away those streaming services and movies and entertainment, I think they'll be okay. There's plenty of content, but you have to want to go out there and get it. You have to go and get it. You can't just, expect it to like land on, your doorstep at this point, because that's what they're doing. They're getting rid of the old stuff. So all you can consume is the new stuff, and saying that the old stuff is problematic. They're editing it. They're doing things like that if they do have it on the platform. So, yeah, I agree. You can't watch anything, and nothing is really good anymore. Nothing is good anymore. I heard the Top Gun Maverick was really good.
I thought it was okay.
Really? I didn't watch
a lot
it.
of people like loved it to death. I thought it was okay. Not bad.
Right. See,
I don't even think I finished it. That's how bored I was.
Really?
But then again, I'm a easy to bore person.
I think with entertainment, they're really Hollywood is starting to feel the pinch. Did you hear about the writers' strike in Hollywood?
I heard about it.
Huge writer's strike, right? But the good thing, again, I think good things are happening. These companies are starting to feel it, and places are starting to feel it. The writers are so bad in Hollywood that nobody cares. The studios are actually wanting them
to strike
so
and leave. Have to pay them.
Yes, because they are trapped. These studios are trapped between like they want to make the woke people and their whatever magazines and people on boards, woke people happy. So they hire these writers that are woke as fuck. They ruin a franchise like Marvel Comics and things like that, but you can't get rid of them, because if you fire them, then they're racist because they're firing a black, indigenous, queer person, and now you can't do anything. So they're stuck there because they don't want to piss that side off and get canceled. So they're just stuck there with this writer's strike. They're like, yes, these studios are celebrating, and the writers can't figure out why. A lot of these writers have alienated regular people who used to consume the entertainment, consume the content. And what did they say? They went on Twitter and said, if you don't like my new show with a they, them cartoon, you're a bigot and we don't want your view anyway. That's what these writers were doing.
Right.
Well, now the studio used to go out to bat for them.
Right.
But now the studios don't want to go up to bat for them, and they're on Twitter and they can't understand why regular people aren't fighting for them. Well, it's because, it sucks. Because you're writing things based on ideology alone. All these movies.
Yeah, people want to know about something that is actually something you might experience in your life. Not fake bullshit where all of a sudden everybody in the room is like, let's let the mentally handicapped kid be president for equity's sake.
Right.
Like, this is enough of this. Like, nobody's going to do that. How did you even write a coherent movie? There had to be a competent leader amongst that somewhere in order to create a movie. So stop acting like everybody's allowed to be incompetent and stupid. The woke stuff you can't even find heroes. What is the last movie that was created that was like an actual strong man who was honorable in his sexual practice and who was actually trying to do the right thing and held the line in multiple different ways and was admirable by young men who want to become great?
Captain America, Iron Man, and they're killing them off.
Yeah,
they're taking rid
exactly.
Of those. Yeah,
those were like cool things that they were trying to do the right thing. But where are they? There's no recent Iron Man that's like actually honorable.
No, they replaced Iron Man with Ironheart, which is a black woman.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
Mm-hmm. And Captain America, they retired him. He basically like at the end
so
of
Disney
Endgame,
bought everything cool that America had to offer and then just shit down all of its throat.
Essentially.
They put Star Wars toilet right next to the Marvel toilet, right next to the anything cool
ESPN.
Toilet. And the sports thing and Barstool probably at this point. And they just just shit down all of them. And then everybody that was on the other ends of them for the last 50 years of American existence is just like, oh my God. Ugh. And they're just spitting it out of their mouth. This is poop. This isn't chocolate like it used to be.
I mean, ESPN used to be about sports.
Right.
It used to be.
I used to love watching Top 10.
Oh my gosh. If you watch the content now, it's like half political commentary. When Trump was in office, it was almost all political commentary. And people were just saying, the normies, we just want to watch sports. And they couldn't figure.
They can't let you do that.
Right. They couldn't figure out why the ESPN is losing so much numbers, and like people like Outkick with Clay Travis is starting to. He's a pretty based guy. His network is taking off, and ESPN is failing. Why?
Yeah, I wonder what the numbers are too, because like these whole networks, like when Tucker Carlson left, he got more views in his first video out than like
it was insane.
than Fox gets for like a week, you know, and it was just like, dude, fine. You guys want to act like that's the thing. You're corporate shills and everybody knows it. Yeah, the NFL. Remember this? The whole football is gay thing. I am football. Football.
So
gay.
when was that article done? Let's see. Oh, thank you for making it a little bit. Release is powerful. Football is gay. Should we play it?
Yeah, click unmute. Bullshit.
Who said
football's a 265-pound American man crushing against another 275-pound American man with hot cheerleaders on the side? Everybody knows it, and you're supposed to drink beer and eat hot dogs and watch the damn game with your friends and your family while you chug beer, which used to be Bud Light, but they turned gay too. So now everybody's just doing what they want. And guess what? If you suck at football still, we'll make an entirely different league with 37 people and be it not gay. And guess who's going to get more views? It'd be so easy.
And the thing is,
not really, but it would be worth it.
Who said you couldn't watch it? Nobody was stopping you. Nobody was barring you. Your money was the same color as the other people's, the guys, the frat boys who watch it. It's green. That's all they wanted. Nobody said it wasn't for you. No one. Like, our society's become like very accepting, but yeah, why we get it. We get it.
Nobody cares.
No one cares.
No one gives a shit. If you are a 21-year-old guy and you are going through sex reassignment surgery and you're like, hi, my name's Stev, I'd be like, hi, right, Stev. I'm eating chips. Bye. I don't have anything to say. See ya. Have a great day. Hope your life works out good, because that's just generally how I want good things for everybody. Right. Go do it. I hope you have a great life, whatever the hell. Right now, if you ask me personally, hey, do you think what I'm doing smart? I'd go, no, I think you're going to end up in a world of travesty and like 10 different ways that you can't even foresee. And you're eliminating some of the biologically hardwired benefits that you're supposed to get later in life by getting your Johnson chopped off if you haven't had kids yet. And by the way, your muscle tone and everything is going to severely suffer if you don't have testicles. By the way, here, 1,000 other things. Oh, you can inject this, and yeah, that's going to cost you financially. So I would tell you to stay away from doing dumb things. But if you didn't ask me any of that stuff, and you just said, hi, I'm Stev. I order books at the bookstore here that you're at. I'd go, oh, cool. I order books here. Bye.
I hope you
don't give a shit.
Right.
If you came up to my kids and wanted to talk to them, I would be like, yeah, I don't want you talking to my kids.
Right.
Just like if you were a man who I knew had a really provocative lifestyle in like some weird unhealthy way with a bunch of women, and you were always like a womanizer, I would be like, yeah, I don't really want you talking to my kids. The same way that if you were a harlot and you were like, everybody who can bangs me, I would be like, yeah, I don't want you talking to my kids. Yeah. If you were a person who's mentally handicapped, I might not want you talking to my kids.
But you're allowed to do that. Those are your kids. And that's just it. What they've gone after now is that they're upset and calling us bigots. There were LGBTQ groups or people that are threatening explosive items. I don't know what we can say on YouTube. Explosive items for the targets that are moving the display. They're not getting rid of it.
They're moving the display to the back of the store. And the left's response to that is to strap some you-know-what on themselves and say they're going to threaten, Target.
But
we didn't do that to y'all.
Right.
We just said we're not going to buy the crap because it violates our religious ideas. And by the way, your biological ideas probably, but you haven't pushed the envelope enough to have to make a decision about whether or not you think women exist. Actually, and if they're an actual class of humans, or if anything that farts one day and decides their one can be one. Nobody's pushed you enough yet, woke corporations, but you'll arrive at the same conclusion if you do enough thinking, but nobody's made you do it yet.
Right.
But so here we are, we're just, having those same thoughts already, and you're basically catering entirely to the woke mob and losing billions in the process. What is it, 10 billion now?
I think, it's pretty bad. And I think it's a 19 total. I saw something that
What's
said
crazy
it's 19
to me,
total or something. And
which I suppose it would make, Bud Light took a $9 billion loss.
Maybe that's the one.
Target took a $10 billion loss, I think is what they're at right now.
Caves into this, then it says at the moment you threaten the employees of even a very large corporation, you get to control its policies. This is economic terrorism, really terrorism, creating fear among the workers and forcing the corporations to sell the things you want and not sell the things you don't. So
that's what they're the ones that are literally calling in the explosive items threats into the targets because they are moving the displays. Actually, Jeff, can you bring up this video? I want you to see this video.
Yeah, but do you remember the cake situation? Remember when they forced him? They forced him. That was economic terrorism.
Yes.
You will bake butt sex cake.
Right.
Bake it.
And you know what I heard about that one? You know what I heard?
You typed it in the thing. I had to say it.
What's that?
Butt sex cake.
You know what I heard about that one is that they specifically kept going and pursuing that. They knew that cake place was a Christian faith-based, that there were other places that they could have gone, and they purposely went there to cause this, to make this a thing.
Yeah.
That's what I read somewhere, and I believe it.
What was really funny is I saw a guy go to a bunch of Muslim bakeries after that, and he was like, I want you guys to do my cake. And they were like, no. And nothing happened from it. He made the video because he knew nothing would happen from it.
Oh.
And nothing happened from it.
Oh,
he wasn't even gay.
I gotta watch that.
He was like, I'm just thinking maybe me and my husband, and they were like, no, we do not do gay cake, or whatever. And nothing didn't matter at all.
Of course
not,
because it's against.
Because it's not Christians,
right? I was just about to say regular Christians. Jeff, can you bring up this video of the Twilight star Rachel Lefevre?
So I just walked into Target, and the right behind me here, where you see all these lovely swimsuits, that's where the Pride display used to be. And I came in here 2 days ago, and my 7-year-old, who's non-binary, saw it and said, "Look, Mom, it's Pride. Look, they're gonna celebrate me."
Bullshit.
And because some people complained and threw some stuff to the ground, or I don't know what happened, they have moved the Pride section to the back of the store. So the next time my 7-year-old comes to Target, or rather, I can't bring them here anymore, at least for the entire month of June.
Good.
Because if they walk in, and all the other people who walk in and go, "Where'd it go?" are going to realize that they are being successful in trying to erase them.
I'm glad she's not going to Target the whole month of June. She is helping our boycott.
I agree.
That's why I said good too.
But did you hear that? Did you hear what she said?
Right.
Oh, my 7-year-old said, "Look, Mom is celebrating me." This whole ideology is narcissistic as fuck.
Right.
I mean, seriously, celebrating me. It's so, you're teaching your kid to be
all eyes on me, all eyes on me,
right,
all the time. Celebrate me. I've got pride. It's all pomp, dude.
Yes.
Nothing about go secretly and quiet and conquer something and then come back and then the village will think you're worthy of something.
Right.
That's the song of history. The song of history is be consistent and people will value you. Be good at something and people in the community will value you.
Right.
Now
not
it's
just because you exist.
Yeah, I am gay. I happen to be gay.
All right.
Cool. Be gay. Are you aware that lifestyle comes with mostly not being able to procreate?
Well, I mean, and they don't want to be lectured to or anything like that. And that's fine. That's freaking fine. But just because we're not accepting it. That's just it. We're not accepting it. We're not teaching it to our kids and things like that. And we're trying to protect it. Somehow makes us these evil bigots. But look at this lady, how she's saying, first of all, her 7-year-old non-binary child. Okay. But they only moved the display. Target, this is why I don't think this boycott is going to, I don't think it's going to work, because I think people are going to be like, yay, the display is moved. It's just moved. It's not gone.
Yeah, I don't think it's gone.
No, it's not.
And I don't think anybody's decided to jump back on the Target train.
You think so? You don't think that eventually the soccer moms and everything are going to be like, oh, I need a Target run and a Starbucks and blah, blah, blah. I have to have my Target runs.
Not if they really boycotted. If they boycotted, that means they were a certain level pissed at the thing, and that woke them up. So they're not going to go back to slumber.
I hope so. I mean, I hope so.
I mean, maybe there's like 5% that will, but like, I don't think so. This Bud Light thing is like here to stay. It's like, it's keeping up. They're like, oh shit. You know, like the same thing with Target. The same thing's going to happen.
I really hope so, because I don't like, that's such a narcissistic. Okay. We're not sitting there complaining that there aren't a display with crosses and biblical stuff and everything like that. Why we should be complaining, right? Why don't I have a display? Because we don't effing care. Like, what, we don't effing care. But because we don't need that narcissistic thing that's what it is. This is a temper tantrum. You're not celebrating me. They want us to have the compassion, and they can keep the narcissism. So I don't understand.
Right.
But anyway, that just, to me, Target not removing it says a lot. Or at least like maybe taking out a few of the things, like tuck-friendly underpants for children, I think says everything that we need to know. Have you seen the creator of these designs that are being celebrated this month?
Yes. Pull this joker up, dude.
We have an article from the Daily Mail.
Who did Target hire to make these clothing items? God, this is such a weird thing to even say.
That's what I'm meaning. Like this rabbit hole that I'm going down. I'm like, they just moved it. They didn't discontinue the collection. Target Pride collection includes bags and sweaters by Satan-loving trans designer who wants to burn down the system, that is CIS, as backlash against the retail giant grows. Now, so they knew.
You got to see a picture of this joker.
Yeah,
though.
let's go down to the picture of this person. This is a transgender, now male, so born female and is now a male. Is that how you say it? Transgender male?
Okay.
I don't know which one. But
now let's read his shirt.
Yeah, if you zoom in onto that shirt right there.
Satan respects pronouns.
Wow.
Notice the goat head.
Oh, and the goat is so creepy. And look, the goat horns on where he's wearing them too.
Right.
I mean, they picked this designer. I'm not, out of all the gay friendly or LGBT designers that they could have picked, why this one? This is why I've started to go down this rabbit hole.
Well, them is definitely going to hell.
And they want this.
Unless they repent, then you're good, bro. It's the coolest get in free card. You like get in free stuff, bro. Jesus is all about it. All you got to do is admit that he's actually God and that you're shitty.
Jeff, can you scroll down to those pins? There's one where it says Fox News warned us about you, and bring that screen. I want to read out one of these pins and what exactly it is. Look right there. You see what that is on the left-hand side? That's a guillotine. Look what it says. Homophobe headrest. That's a guillotine. Because we don't want our children to hang around the transgender 6-year-old man who's actually 52, we'd be considered homophobes.
Right.
And that's what they think is appropriate.
I guess that's true. That's true. I would not want my children hanging out with homosexual people.
But they call you a homophobe. And that's what they think. Instead of like, okay, we don't agree with their ideology.
Well, maybe if they wouldn't share their sexuality, then my kids could be with them and me at the same time.
Right.
I barely let my kids hang out with other adults ever.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Especially without me present.
Even family. I'm like, oh, I'll be there.
Right.
Like 99% of the time.
But like they would consider you a homophobe for like you not wanting to be taught by this person, or your kids not being taught by this person, or hang out alone in the house. You would be considered a homophobe. Whereas with us, we don't agree with whatever ideology you have. We don't wish death upon them.
No.
And this is cute. This is cute to them. This is a pin that they're monetizing. This is cute and funny.
Right. And they're monetizing. I'm surprised all the places that cancel hate speech haven't done this. So what, if you're homophobic, you don't get to live?
That's what they're saying. Right. And
I don't know what qualifies as homophobic, but
right,
like,
we're not
that's
scared
like,
of them.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of anybody.
But I think people are normies, because this is what had to happen, is that normies have to get tired of this stuff. Normies. And we're starting to see that over in Europe, where they have like the climate change activists like in full-fledged force.
Right.
Have you seen some of the videos?
Yeah.
Yet? Jeff, can you pull up this video of the Telegraph? The eco activist gets hit by a camera in Sweden. Yeah, let's see that. Let's see that action again. Oh.
Such a good hit.
Yeah, I think that, look, that was done on purpose. That was done on purpose. But everyone's tired of it. It's like, of course, the rest of us want to save the planet. We want to help people. We want to be compassionate. But one step at a time here, we're trying.
One step at a time. We actually do care about that. You're not more righteous than us, and your ideas are evil.
Right.
So shutty. How about that?
Right.
Well, another good episode of the Ross DeBoss Show, everybody. If you need help with your social media, getting video production, learning how to go to the next level, learning how to monetize better, anything like that, feel free to shoot me a DM over on Instagram or email me at rossbconsulting@gmail.com. I'd love to help you. Tina, you got any words?
Finger guns. Pew, pew, pew. That's all I got. I'm sorry, guys.
So sorry, guys. It's raining out here where we are, and so there's not a lot of soul today.
You're right.
But it's fine.
Right. We're doing fine.